Welcome back to the show, everyone. Who's heard of the term foregut? A lot of us here in the studio have not, but I am so honored and privileged to have Dr. Christy Dunst with Hoag Medical Center here with me today to explain all the details.
Hi.
Welcome, Dr. Dunst. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to talk about this term that I've never heard of. But before we go there, just tell our viewers just a little bit about you, your history, where you grew up, where you came from, and how'd you end up here?
Well, I grew up in Colorado, and I trained all over the country. And then most recently, I was in Oregon. I've been in Oregon for about 20 years, and I was recently recruited to come here to work on foregut.
Okay, Dr. Christy Dunst, you're going to have to tell me about what foregut is.
Well, foregut is a term that refers to the study and treatment of diseases of the esophagus and stomach. So it's an embryologic term about the esophagus and stomach, but people that specialize in that, frankly, we got tired of saying esophagus and stomach every single time.
Oh, interesting.
And the term foregut has been adopted somewhat slowly over the past, it's probably taken 30 years until now. It has been more widely recognized as a specialty.
And so does it really mean like before the gut? Is that what it's referring to?
Sort of. It means it's an embryologic term, so it really refers to the upper digestive tract. Technically, there's parts of the liver and parts of the lung that are part of the foregut when you're looking at anatomy. But when we talk about the foregut specialty, it's diseases of the esophagus and stomach.
Interesting. What made you want to focus in on
diseases of the foregut? I was drawn to the esophagus because it's much more complex than meets the eye. And I've also had some ridiculously fabulous mentors in my life that were esophageal specialists. So that has led me to dedicate my entire career, my entire profession is dedicated to taking care of mainly the esophagus, problems of the esophagus.
Very interesting. Yeah. Wow. And tell us about your role in the Center of Excellence.
Well, so I have been recruited to join Hoag in their pursuit of building out a digestive health institute. And the esophagus and stomach, obviously, are part of the digestive tract, and in a big part. My friend, Dr. Chang, is the head of the DHI right now, the executive medical director. And he and I know each other from an organization called the American Foregut Society. The American Foregut Society was designed to bring together specialists who focus on diseases of the esophagus and stomach, to collaborate, to work on research projects together, to raise awareness and raise the level of care throughout the country and beyond. And we have worked together on the board of that society. And when he came to Hoag, he was working on his vision. And he realized from multiple meetings that he and I had together at the American Foregut Society that we shared the vision. And so I was pretty floored, actually, one day when he called me and said, "You know what? We have the same vision, and I like what you've done in Oregon. Do you think you can help us do that here?" And I thought, you know what? I've actually been working my whole career toward this moment.
Wow.
And I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be here and able to work on building out the foregut specialty.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow, that's great. So let's turn to the term heartburn, because I hear it on occasion, but I think it's a widespread problem and issue. What can you tell us about that condition?
Heartburn is, it generally refers to pain, sort of in the lower chest, upper abdominal region, that is a result of reflux. Reflux of gastric acid or gastric contents that can move up into the esophagus and cause symptoms. Everybody, almost everybody, has had some heartburn after, an excessive meal. You eat an entire pizza one day, and it's pretty common to have a little bit of heartburn after that. That's not typically a problem. But once you start having symptoms more frequently and not provoked by such a large meal, then you start running into converting to the disease of gastroesophageal reflux disease. So heartburn is just a symptom. But GERD...
Is it a painful symptom? How do people know that they have it?
Usually heartburn specifically refers to the pain that somebody feels associated with acid reflux. But you can have acid reflux without having typical pain. And so it is really difficult to identify the severity of someone's disease just based on their symptoms. And we're learning that we're missing the boat on a lot of people when we're just going by symptoms. Luckily, for a lot of symptoms, we have great medications. Great medications, you can even get them over the counter, can treat classic, typical heartburn. But when they are failing to treat your symptoms, that's when we need to step in and escalate the care.
And it also infects the microbiome if it gets too bad, doesn't it?
Well, the microbiome refers to the collection of bacteria that live in our gut. And they do
healthy bacteria.
The healthy bacteria. They do there's a lot of functions. In fact, there's a lot of studies that show that up to 70% of your immune function is mediated by the microbiome. So you've got all these bacteria in your gut, and we like it to be widely diverse and healthy and happy. And when we take acid suppressive medications, that changes the biochemistry of your entire GI tract. So we know for sure that there are enzymes that are functioning differently. Absorption can be different. We don't exactly know all the details about how that affects the microbiome, but it has to affect something. I mean, if you think about it, we're completely changing the chemistry that these bacteria live in. So it's an active area of study, but it is something that's on our radar for people who have been taking antacids for decades. We need to look into that.
Yeah, because eventually it's going to have that reverse effect, isn't it?
We don't know exactly. The area of the microbiome is an active area of research, but I personally think that it has to have some effect. We just don't know.
Yeah. Get them on L-Reuteri as soon as possible, right? So you have a vision for a program at Hoag. Can you tell us about that?
We do. So there are multiple specialties that are involved in treating diseases of the esophagus and stomach. So we've got gastroenterologists, we have surgeons, we have metabolic health people, we have cancer people, we have dietitians, there's lots. And typically the traditional medical model is that if you need to see any of those people, then you have to schedule a visit with one and get referred to another, and it's very time consuming. And what we want to do is we want to bring it together. We want to bring it together so that we can individualize care for each patient, but use all of the resources and specialties that we have at our fingertips. And so the first thing we're trying to do is to bring together gastroenterologists and the surgeons who are focused on diseases of the esophagus and collectively take care of patients. So we're going to start doing things like combined meetings where we talk about patients and make sure that we're bringing everybody's perspective to the table. It's really innovative and it's a logistical challenge, But we are really excited for that. I think it's going to be a game changer.
It makes a lot of sense that everything would be under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And our sort of North Star underlying all of this, which we haven't really talked about, is esophageal cancer. So heartburn, if it progresses to gastroesophageal reflux disease, is a risk factor for something called Barrett's esophagus. And Barrett's esophagus is the leading risk factor for esophageal cancer. So I know that's a little bit complicated. And really the take-home message is that GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, can lead to a risk factor for cancer. If we identify that risk factor called Barrett's esophagus, we can keep a close eye on somebody and they should not develop invasive disease. But that's not happening in this country right now. We're not finding the people with Barrett's until it's too late.
Oh, no.
And so one of the main functions of our Center of Excellence is to change that. One of the barriers to finding it, why, if we know the risk factor is Barrett's esophagus, why are we not finding these people? And one of the barriers to doing that is that to diagnose Barrett's esophagus, you need an endoscopy. So you need to have an invasive procedure, be put to sleep, have a camera put down, and have a biopsy taken. And that's just more challenging than it even sounds. But now there is a screening tool that allows outpatient setting us to sample cells of the esophagus in at-risk patients, and we can identify, we can have a negative predictive value of 99%, which
Wow.
means if we don't find it, you're probably good.
You're not at risk.
But if we find it, it doesn't mean you have cancer. It doesn't even mean you have Barrett's, but it means you might. And then we can do an endoscopy on those patients. And we are confident that people should not be dying of esophageal cancer when we know we have this technology and we have an ability to find it and stamp it out. So that's our North Star.
Wow.
We're going to do it.
That's amazing.
We're going to do it in Orange County first, and then the world.
Well, we're so lucky to have, medical facilities such as Hoag and yourself, you and your team of excellence. Really appreciate you coming in today and sharing all of your vast amount of knowledge with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Okay.
You're watching This Day on Village TV. We'll be back after these messages.